Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 3rd of November, year 2025. Today I'm going to talk about Wednesday's full moon in Taurus. This occurs at 5:19 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. On the East Coast, it will be 8:19 a.m. Elsewhere, you will have to do the math. This full moon occurs at 13 degrees and 22 minutes arc of Taurus. It's a fascinating chart. All charts are fascinating to me. There is not a boring chart in the universe. But this one in particular is really interesting because we have a lot of shifting happening this week beyond the full moon. The full moon kind of sets up the changes that are coming directly after it. Full moons shed light where there has been darkness or where there's been denial. And they also create the energy to take a specific stance on maybe something that you've been wavering on. Very often with full moons, we find final decisions are made. Does that mean the government shut down in the United States of America is going to end? It's possible. I had originally said to a client that I thought the shutdown would end past the first week in November. Well, we're getting close to that date, and I did a little bit of research. Interestingly, this full moon, the moon will sextile America's sun, which is at 13 degrees of Cancer. There's this lovely sextile that happens, which could indicate that they finally come to their senses and realize that they are going to be voted out if they don't get busy and get the government up and running, because people are losing their patience. I know I certainly am. I think it's a disgrace, the game playing. It's a disgrace they can't do their job. Just as a little side bit, I don't want to get into it too much because then I get really riled up and upset. Do you know, many people do not know this. They're unaware, but they're still getting their paychecks. Many people are not getting their paychecks, but those people that can't seem to do their job, they're getting their paychecks. We need term limitations big time. I encourage you to write your representative and let them know that you do not approve. If you don't approve, I can't imagine anybody does approve. That said, I want to also add, if the shutdown continues, there are going to be big problems. I think these senators and representatives do not understand, or they have not been paying attention to the very country that they live in that is just loaded with arms and a lot of angry people. How they haven't figured that out, I think they need to get the ball rolling. If it goes past the 15th, there will be sparks, big sparks, because on the 16th of November, transiting Mars will oppose the USA Uranus, and that's a revolutionary aspect. So let's just hope and write our letters and call and remind them who they work for, that this shutdown ends soon. Now, Taurus deals with the voice. It deals with song and singing and music and the throat. The part of the body that Taurus rules is the throat. This particular full moon will have jurisdiction over the ears, the nose, the throat, thyroid. Those are the areas in your body to pay attention to and to pamper. Taurus loves to be pampered. Taurus energy, the moon in Taurus, needs its comfort. The moon represents in everybody's chart what they cannot do without. You know, we all have very specific things that we need to feel comfort and comforting. The moon loves to be situated in the zodiac placement of Taurus. It has a reputation of sometimes being slow. It's represented by the bull. And the bull, you know, in the field, kind of moseys all around slowly. But if you piss that bull off, you are in big trouble. And the same goes with anybody who happens to have a lot of Taurus in their chart, or even just a little bit of Taurus in their chart positioned in a particular house can create a real volatile energy. And it always surprises everybody. They're like, oh, they were so nice. I never saw this. Well, yes, until they're pushed to a point. Now, that also brings me to the fact that Mars has been in Scorpio. Right now, it's in the last degree of Scorpio, which is a very poignant degree. And tomorrow it will move into Sagittarius. So you're going to see the energy shift. This full moon chart has that Mars at 0 degrees Sagittarius. And right next to it is Mercury at 5 degrees Sagittarius. So there's going to be in the air a lot of talk, a lot of ideas, and some optimism. A hopefulness can emerge with the possibilities and the plans. Sagittarius is a very optimistic sign. And in this full moon chart, it's in I'm using the natural wheel. It's in the 9th house, of course, with Mercury, which is at the 5 degrees of Sagittarius. So a lot of planning can be going on with this full moon. So there's a double energy happening. First, the full moon is shedding light on what is important and what isn't important, what needs to stay and what needs to go. Then the Mercury, co-joined with Mars, is let's build it. Let's get it going. Let's be moving. It's like chariots of fire. Let's go. Give me that baton. I'm ready. But hold on. Just after this full moon, on the 9th, Uranus is going to re-enter Taurus. So we will begin to go back to the energy that we had prior to July this summer. And some of that energy in the spring when Uranus was in Taurus, the slow-moving train, a little bit of the unstable finances, or the uncertainty of where the financial market is going. The financial market will probably be very up and down with this full moon because it is a money full moon. And also with Uranus returning to Taurus on the 9th. The other thing that happens on the 9th is that Mercury turns retrograde. But I will be talking about that in a different podcast, perhaps. I will definitely be writing out to my patrons, and that gives me an opening to plug myself. If you would like to become a patron, you can do so on patreon.com/Parker McP. There's several levels of sponsorship. I mean, you know, like it's so reasonable. We're talking a latte, different levels. You also will get material that's only written for my patrons, that does not go out to the public if you become a patron. So that aside, the money issue this week and the next is still going to feel like it's on shaky ground. And speaking of shaky ground, a full moon in the earth sign of Taurus does indicate earth shakers. We've been in an earth shaking window for quite a while, like over a year. And there's certain peaks of it, and we're in one of those peaks right now. And certainly with Uranus returning to an earth sign, that will be doubly so. I think there was even a quake today in, where was that? I don't even remember. It was a 6.6, and I forget where it was. But anyway, there's been a lot of quakes in the last month and a half. My feeling with this full moon chart is that the energy is best applied to love, to making partnerships stronger, to seeing where in the partnership, if there's an imbalance, how can we make it to where both parties feel more valued, more seen? And that moon in Taurus also gives me an opportunity and a reminder to plug this fabulous documentary that I saw on Prime called 20 Steps from Stardom, and it's all about the backup singers. The singers in this documentary are extraordinary. I mean, their voices, they're just powerhouses. I've actually watched it twice. It's going to be a really good documentary to get me to watch it more than once. This particular documentary is useful, I think, for viewing now, especially if you have Prime, because you see the ups and downs that even the most successful people in the world go through. There are cycles in our life where we are on top of the world, or we happen to be in a field of entertainment or the arts or whatever field we work in, where we're just, the cherry on the pie. And then because life is this way, another cycle can happen. I often think when we reach our goals, okay, there, we've got them. But no, that's not how life works. That's what I have observed in my many, many, many decades. You reach these plateaus, and then you slide down the hill, and you may rest a little while, and some more life happens from left field and right field and behind you, and then in front of you, you have a new dream, and you start climbing that hill again, and that's the cycle of life. It's just big waves. Sometimes you're treading water and the lake is calm, and other times those waves just don't stop, so you better know how to swim. The Taurus moon, this full moon in Taurus, does learn well. It learns well, but it learns slowly. Taurus does not do anything fast. It is a fertile sign. If you're thinking of planning a family or adding to your family, that could come up for discussion. It is the sign that represents the cow, milk, nurturing. This particular full moon is in the decant of Taurus Virgo because it's at 13. So it's Taurus Virgo energy. Even though it's in the sign of Taurus, the underlying sub-energy is a Virgo energy. Think of it in the terms of combining beauty with practicality. Wherever this full moon falls in your chart, that's where you want to bring comfort. That's where you want to shore up security. That is the house that demands attention and says, hey, have you looked over in that closet? Have you checked under that paper? Have you dealt with the car if it happens to be in the third house. So it all depends on what house it's in. First house deals with the self, the physical body. Second house deals with income and monetary issues and what you value. Third house is brothers and sisters and the car, the neighborhood. So the full moon falling in that third house could be, how can I help make my neighborhood more beautiful? Fourth house deals with the physical home. It deals with the mom. It's the seat of the soul. The fifth house deals with romance and children and creativity. It's also a house that we play, where we play. Sixth house deals with our health, our everyday work. Also, it's the day in, day out. So if that Taurus full moon falls in your sixth house, how can I make my life more beautiful in the day in, day out? How can Taurus also deals with scent. How can I make my world smell better? How can I make myself have more of a scent that is attractive to others? Not just by a tangible perfume, but by the way that I conduct myself. Can I be more attractive in how I carry on everyday conversations? Seventh house deals with partners, business and romantic or marriage, long-term ones. It's also the public. Eighth house is other people's money. It represents the bank. It represents anybody who supports you, such as you. If you become a patron, you would be an eighth house person. That would be in the eighth house. And actually, ironically, this particular full moon does fall in my eighth house. So I need to get some more patrons. So that's one thing this full moon, what I could do. I'm like, okay, how can I market myself better? People don't maybe know about me in this area. Actually, I think I will do a marketing PR program, That's how these full moons work. Shine a spotlight on how you can become a patron for Stardust Stereo. It also deals with taxes. And the eighth house also deals with how we transcend. Sometimes we transcend completely out of the body forever. We take that one-way ticket. I don't think I'm going to be doing that just yet, but who knows, Divine may have a plan that I'm not really keen on yet. So, ninth house. Ninth house deals with overseas travel, deals with higher education. It also regards our faith. Where can you shed a light that will bring you comfort that's regarding your faith? 10th house is the house of authority, the Father. It's also the house that deals with our standing in the community. Can I express more comfort to my community? Can I represent myself in a more beautiful way? 11th house, friends, hopes, wishes, and dreams, and networking. 11th house also rules our Congress. How can we make our Congress? How can I make my Congress members aware of how utterly distasteful, disgraceful, and disdain I hold this, and is a stain on our country, this shutdown? It's just ridiculous. I promised I wasn't going to go there again. So, and then 12th house. 12th house is the retreat house, the cave, where you go to recharge your batteries. It's the secret place that's just for you, where you can be with yourself and your thoughts. It also rules hospitals, prisons, places of confinement, spas. We like that. So those are where the full moon falls. You want to pay attention to the house and attend to the details there. The last thing that I want to say about this full moon is it will activate Israel's chart, the North Node, very much still a divide in that country. There's a divide that will be present because it's exact on Israel's North Node, which is, it's not a planet. The North Node is a position in the chart that represents what we are trying to become. This full moon will also activate the stock exchange chart. It's going to be wonky. And the United Nations, we're going to see some squabbles. That's not unusual, but they're going to be extremely vocal. Now, this is the thing about a full moon in a fixed Earth-water axis. So Taurus is Earth, the sun is in water, both signs are fixed. So when people split, they dig in their heels. And this is what we've seen with Congress. They're digging in their heels. And this is ridiculous because the American people are suffering. But I do really hope and think that they could end this shutdown this week. And it may continue until November 18th, but I don't think it's going to go into the holidays because that would just be really a very stupid thing on their part. The last thing I want to say is the White House. I want to talk about the White House and the irony of their redoing the West Wing, I think it is. I don't even remember what wing it is. But they've demolished one of the wings. And ironically, in the chart, there is a chart for when the White House was first opened. In that White House, exactly conjunct the fourth house cusp of the White House is this full moon. And that means change. And what are they doing? They're making it beautiful. Now, I know all about the president and how he does everything over the top. But you know, I don't think remodeling's a bad idea. I bet you it's going to be absolutely stunning, gorgeous. I'll never see it, except in pictures, but it's going to be stunning, gorgeous. I do believe that. But he's probably going to spend too much money. Let's just end on that note. But you need to save money. Because if you're a federal employee, you probably don't have any money right now. And if you work in the arts are a little slow right now. Everything's a little slow right now. But it's not going to stay that way. Because that is the law of the universe, change. So we hold in this full moon energy to bring us comfort, to see and seek ways to make our life more stable, and to invite love. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo, and I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.